Dr. Dave Brat, 7th Congressional District, the new 7th District now. Dr. Brat, good to have you, man.
Hey, great to be on, John.
Listen, I got to give credit where it's due. So you guys have a committee meeting on Saturday, and the committee meeting is basically 16 inside baseball players in the 7th District who are going to decide whether or not to have their nominating process be a convention, a canvass, or a primary. And so, Dave, you get 300 people to turn out as spectators on a Saturday. And it's, come on, man. There's nobody in Virginia that can command that kind of enthusiasm. So you get 300 people to turn out. It's not like they're turning out to back you on something. It's just like to say, hey, I'm for Dave. And you got your convention. That's remarkable. The enthusiasm that you've generated by your core supporters is like nothing I've seen short of Trump. What do you think?
Yeah, well, I mean, I appreciate the nice comments I wish was due to me, but I think it's more backwards. I think it's the people of the 7th that are the special ones. And my election, it was a free market phenomenon. I mean, people just came out to support. I mean, so I ran on the Republican creed. I think the whole country now has tuned in to Virginia's 7th in terms of the same logic. Everybody's just craving some, truth statements to be put out there, some principles that you believe in. And so I've tried to deliver on that, and I've voted that way. And I think the people just know we've got to get back to a principle-based politics to get this country turned around. So, we had a great turnout. And the convention, it's not your normal convention / primary battle or whatever. This one is just kind of particular because we got a Supreme Court case hanging over our head on redistricting, and no one knows which way that's going to go. So if you have a primary, you could end up having a primary in September, a month before you have your general in November, and that nobody wants that. So that's what that debate was about. And there was there's some politics as usual, just people opposing just to oppose, but common sense prevailed, so it turned out well.
Well, how it stands now, the Supreme Court has denied the Republicans' request for a stay of the newly configured districts handed down by the 3-judge lower court in Virginia. So that means, Dr. Brat, right now that the districts are reconfigured until something else happens, right? I mean, that's how it is now.
Right. Yep. Legally, we're in the new political districts, and it's the strange world because that's legally my new political districts with several new counties, but I'm still the official representative of the original, and so that's what I was saying. It's kind of a strange circumstance.
It's a little dicey, and the final decision is going to be made by the Supreme Court sometime, June?
Yeah, probably end of March, April, or something like that is right. What we're thinking. But everybody's been guessing the whole way along. We haven't been doing too good a job of guessing.
No, we haven't. And, you can't predict these things, but it would seem to me that when they denied the stay, and everybody on the Republican side told me that they were going to have the stay, that it didn't make any sense, et cetera, all blah, blah, blah.
Right.
They didn't get the stay. So just logically, you would think that probably these new districts are not going to go back to the way they were. Wouldn't that be?
Yeah, I mean, it's probably tilting that way a little bit, although we still think on the law, and our lawyers still say sometimes the Supremes, if they would have stayed it, then they're involved and they got their hands in local politics. At the Supreme Court level, they don't like that.
Right.
So it could just be the case they're being, hyper-conservative in that sense of the word, and just trying to they don't want to have their fingers in the middle of a decision that affects the politics. So they're just staying out. They'll take it up, decide, and then if there'd be total chaos if they flip it the other way, but it's okay.
Well, so right now you've got to play the hand you've been dealt, right?
Yep.
That's just the bottom. The budget process, Paul Ryan, once again, not sending you a Christmas card, mad because you're challenging the establishment's view on spending more money that we don't have. So now he's getting sideways again with the Freedom Caucus. You're on the Budget Committee. You're opposing the budget presented by my former congressman and a doctor, Tom Price of Georgia. Why?
Yeah, well, I mean, everybody, Paul Ryan called it's the same omnibus number, right? We broke the budget caps by $50 billion last year, $30 billion this year. The deficit is going up by $100 billion, up to $530 billion. And as a fiscal, conservative or anybody who cares about their country and their kids' debt, we can't keep going in that direction. And everybody knows it. And so under Republican leadership, right now you got on the presidential side, all the outsider candidates have way over half of the vote because they want us to fight back against Obama and these crazy budget deficits. And so we cannot accept that top-line number. That's Paul Ryan himself called it a crap sandwich, right? So he knows he's handing us a crap sandwich to vote on. And then the question is, can we get, some relief from the $30 billion increase this year? I'm asking for that at a bare minimum. And we're leaving off everything else that went back in that budget, right? I mean, there was the Planned Parenthood issue. There was the refugee crisis issue. We had a veto-proof conservative bill that passed, and leadership wouldn't put it in the budget. So all sorts of bad stuff. And the most important piece is the Senate. We're being asked to do this because Paul Ryan is promising, and I believe him on it. He wants to get to entitlement reform. That's where the trillions are. But it can't just be a vision or a hope. And so I'm asking for, Senator Mitch McConnell to send over some guidance that's saying he does intend to go along with that vision, right? And something in writing. That's the standard around this place. If you won't put your word in writing, then you got a problem. And so that's the basic outlines of the problem. We're just going in the wrong direction. Every economic number is going in the wrong direction. Our economy's grown at 0.7% last quarter. The deficit's up. We got $100 trillion in unfunded liabilities. And the takeaway line is in 11 years, all federal revenues will go to only mandatory programs like Medicare, Social Security, and interest on the debt. There won't be $1 left in 11 years for the military, for transportation, education, all of running government. And that's not a typo. That's CBO, Congressional Budget Office. Go to their webpage. The main graph is sitting right there. All revenues in 11 years to mandatory programs. And so anyone that cares about our military and our ability to project force abroad, it's economic. And you better get the economics right. And that's basic story.
So, Congressman, when you bring this up in a meeting, and these are facts, right? In 11, right, like you said, in 11 years, this is fact. This is not your conjecture or some, harebrained economic scheme, or there's no lockbox or something. This is just fact. $100 trillion of unfunded mandates are fact. $500 billion, the deficit keeps going up. That's fact. $20 trillion in debt. That's fact. It's all fact. What do your colleagues say? What do the Republicans have to say? The establishment, go along, get along, collaborate with Obama, Paul Ryan-led Republicans. What do they say when you confront them with these facts?
Yeah, well, your logic is exactly right. So that's it, and that's where there's just a fundamental difference on the politics. The answer is, number one, we got to win the presidential election. And so then there's the question, are we scared of the voters, or are we going to do the right thing and motivate the voters, right? And so in the past, leadership has been scared of our own voters, that if we, do the right thing, people will move away from our position. And I just don't think that's correct.
It's incredible.
I think that the American people are hungering to see some fiscal sanity and will be rewarded for that. And then secondly, what's not said is everybody, views things as conservatives versus liberals up here. I asked Bernie Sanders at the White House Christmas party this year. I said, hey, Bernie, I'm not putting you on the spot, but I said, hey, up here, this right versus left thing, that's not the way I see things going on. There's a huge problem right in the middle with a $4 trillion budget that goes to special interests, and it's about that. It's about the votes in the middle that are just voting for the status quo and deficit after deficit. I said, you agree with that? He said, no, of course, Dave, that's what it is. I mean, he's funny. He just right off the bat says, of course, that's what it is. So there's this false narrative that it's this, conservatives versus liberal. It's not. It's doing what's best for the country. And unfortunately, there's people in the middle on both sides, in both parties, Democrats and Republicans, that just vote yes, yes, yes on everything. Well, it must be nice to vote yes, 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 but what they're saying no to a balanced budget, right? They're saying no to their kids' future. They're saying no to economic growth. And so I vote no on the budget busters, and they call me the no guy. So the American people got a fundamental choice to make. Who's truly the yes guy? And I maintain it's me and the House Freedom Caucus that's working to put this country back on the right path. That's the yes guys. We're the positive folks that are taking responsibility and doing the right thing.
Congressman, you're right, and I agree with you and with Bernie Sanders on this. And irony of it, I had a chance the 3 days or I guess 3.5 days that I was in Des Moines. I was staying at the Bernie Sanders campaign hotel headquarters in Des Moines. I had a chance to bump into him. I talked to his wife. I mean, he's got an army of people, and just in talking to him, he's saying a lot of the same things, which is basically just what you said. There's no longer conservative, Democrat, Republican, liberal. What it is now is it's the donor-driven, big money, Wall Street, TARPist, bankster elites, and then there's everybody else. And they're just funded in perpetuity. So it's about them staying in power, getting them money, and that's why I think on the other side, Sanders is resonating. I got to tell you, I was there when he gave his speech, I guess, Monday night after his tie, and it's one thing to see it on TV, Congressman. It's another thing to be there in the room with 2,500 people screaming, going bananas. The guy is onto something. And I don't think he's going away. I think he's going to take Hillary down to the wire just based on what I've seen. But the other issue is, it's like what you said earlier about Republican leadership saying, well, the real battle isn't this. This is just, $500 billion. The real battle is the entitlement reform tomorrow. Just go with us now. And we're going to get to it tomorrow, the next time, the next hill. Yep. We're going to die on the next hill, but it's not now. How long have we heard that? We heard it with the Syrian refugees. We heard it with Planned Parenthood. We heard it with Cromnibus. We heard it with DHS funding. We've heard it with Obamacare. We heard it over and over and over. You know what? Go with us one more time, and the next time we're going to draw a line in the sand. And it never happens. So people no longer believe in your party's leadership. Yep.
No, that's it. I mean, that's if you listen to the standard politician, right? They say we're going to do corporate tax rate reductions. We're going to do the environmental. We're going to do regulatory, blah, 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 like that, right? That's all good. That's all fine. But the average person knows they're not getting hit with those issues, right? No one is addressing the average person and their kids and their future, right? So those are all kind of good for the political class, good for the business class, and I'm all for that. I'm for all three of those. But you got to also address the needs of the Americans right now: the national security threat, the terror threat from abroad, the refugee crisis, the immigration crisis. There's an open border still. None of those issues are being addressed at all, and those are fundamental issues that are driving the anxiety of the American people through the roof. And if we don't respond, we won't earn their trust in the future.
I mean, how the Republican-controlled House and Senate could sign off on another $550 billion increase in the deficit. This isn't this is just the annual deficit. I mean, why do we even have a Republican House? Why do we even have a Republican Senate? Why bother?
Yeah, well, it's hard, and I cannot end it. In terms of we got to get our house in order. But President Obama has been tearing us apart, and we've had to use our energy at every turn because of his executive overreach for the whole year. And so, part of it's on our side. We got to get our ducks in a row. But the Democrat side, at least the Republicans have a budget that balances in 10 years. The Democrats don't have a budget that balances ever. And they don't even pretend to have a budget that balances at any point in time. They want continuous increases and everything. And Bernie, just to make it clear so the listeners don't think I'm, pro-Bernie, Bernie wants free everything.
Right.
Free college, free community college, free interest rates, low interest rates, more Social Security. We're already $100 trillion late on unfunded liabilities, and he wants more everything. And so we're competing against the Christmas tree. The Democrats are offering free candy to everyone constantly, and we're saying, hey, we got to get a little fiscal discipline going. And so it's a harder message, but we got the right message, and we got to zoom in on it.
Absolutely, no question. And look, at least Sanders is telling the truth from his perspective, because on this same hand, he says, you're going to have the biggest tax increase ever. But, at least that's a message. I mean, obviously, it doesn't make any sense on a lot of fronts, but at least he's being honest. And I think that's what's driving some of his backers now, no question. We're out of time. Congressman, I'm going to New Hampshire. I just got back from Iowa. I'm going to New Hampshire Saturday night. I'm going to be there for 3 days. What do you think? Who wins? New Hampshire.
Well, I think Trump's in the lead by, 10 or 15 there. He's looking strong. Cruz is closing. Rubio made some advances last time, but I was betting that in New Hampshire it looks like Trump right now, but we'll see.
Yeah, we'll see. A lot of things can change. They're going to be up there for 3 days. Hopefully, we can get you on one of those 3 days. And
you bet.
We want to thank Congressman Dave Brat for being with us. Look, Dave, all we can say is you got to keep fighting and keep telling the truth. And if you do that, you're going to be fine. I know you might have a nomination challenge. I don't see the rationale behind it, but if it is, you'll handle it. Right?
Yeah, that's right. That's right.
All right.